topic is preemptive priority scheduling. So in the previous video, I have discussed about the non-preemptive version of priority scheduling. So non-preemptive version of priority scheduling is what? The process can itself remove the CPU by itself when its time comes. So what is the meaning of preemptive? Preemptive means we can remove the process as per its priority. If the process has come in the ready state which is having higher priority than that of the currently running process which is in the running state or in CPU, executing in CPU, then the process in the CPU, currently running process, can itself remove the CPU. We can remove the currently running process and the CPU would be allocated to the process which is having higher priority. Okay, that is called preemptive. We can remove the process as per its priority. So here 7 processes are there. The same numerical we have discussed in the previous video using the non-preemptive version of priority scheduling. I took the same numerical and using the preemptive priority scheduling. Here 7 processes are there. Arrival time of the each and every processes are there. Priority is given and burst time is given. So we have to find out how the preemptive priority scheduling is running. Okay, so let's start. We have to draw what? The Gantt chart. So draw the Gantt chart. So when the higher priority process has come in the ready state, then the currently running process will be preempted from the running state to the waiting state or running state to the ready state. So that is called context switching is happening on that cases. Okay. So priority, one extra more things is given is that lesser the number, higher the priority. Okay. If there is no notes given in the examination, then by default it would be works as lesser the number, higher the priority. Means lesser the number. How do we know the process priority? Which process is having higher priority, which process is having lower priority. So by the assumption that lesser the number, higher the priority. See here, P7 is having lesser number. 1 is lesser than among all above the numbers. So P7 is having the higher priority. 1 is the, we can say 1 is the higher priority and 6 is the lower priority. Because 6 is the higher number, lower the priority, and lesser the number, higher the priority. Sometimes the question is given like this, higher the number, then higher the priority, then at that moment we can say that 6 is the higher priority and 1 is the lower priority. But if there is no any notes are given in the examination, no assumption is given in the examination or any questions, then by default we took the numerical as lesser the number, higher the priority. So based on this we will solve the numerical. So first the CPU time would start from 0. So see, so don't do like this. We cannot do like this. Like the P7 is having higher priority, then we took the P7 from the ready state to running state and it will run as per the burst time. No, that is wrong. Okay, because we have to check out of all available process, means how many processes are there in the ready state till now. So among available all that process, we have to took the process which is having higher priority. Okay, fine. So at a 0 millisecond, look at this table. At 0 millisecond, is there any process which has arrived at the ready state? Yes, we have P1 only. There is no process having arrived at the ready state yet. So we have no choice as the priority of the P1 is 3. 3 is greater than 1. So obviously 3 is lower priority than this P7. P1 is lower priority than P7, but we don't have any choice. We have to took P1 to the running state. So P1 would be allocated So CPU would be allocated to the P1. In non-preemptive priority scheduling, it executed till it bots time 8. It executed till 0 to 8 millisecond. But in preemptive version, we have to check. Is there any process which has come in the ready state, and the priority of that process is the priority of that process is higher than the currently running process. We have to check each and every millisecond, and the P1, the currently running process, will run till the next process have been arrived. So the next process, at what millisecond the next process is arrived at the ready state? See, 0, next process is arrived at the ready state at 1. So we have to continue its execution till 1, till the next process has come. Okay, it will execute 0 to 1. Fine. At 1 millisecond we have to check the newly arrived process, the priority of the newly arrived process is higher or not as compared to the currently running process. Okay, check out the priority of the newly arrived process. See, the priority of the newly arrived process is 4 and the currently running process priority is 3. So obviously the priority of the currently running process is higher than the newly arrived process. So there will not be context switching is happening. The context switching will not happening here. Okay, P1 would not be preempted. Okay, we have to run P1 again. So P1 continue its execution till the next process is come. Next process will come at 3 millisecond. Okay, so we don't take this P2, as the P2 priority of the P2 is lower than this P1. But at 3 millisecond next process, so P1 is running, so we will continue the execution of P1 till the next process is come. So now P1 is executing till 3. At time 3 we saw that P3 has come in the ready state. So we have to check the priority of the newly arrived process. So priority of the newly arrived process is 4, which is also lower than the currently running process. The currently running process priority is 3. So we have no choice, we have to continue its execution. P1 again continue its execution till the next process has come. Next process means P4, which has come at 4. So it will continue, it will execute till 4. So at 4, priority is also lower than the currently running process. So the context switching is not happening here. Again, P1, the CPU would be allocated to P1 again. For how many time? Till the next process has come. The next process is P5, which has come at 5. Okay, so P1 will execute for 1 millisecond till 5. Check out at 5, P5 has come in the ready state, and check out the priority of that newly arrived process. See, this is the priority of the P5 is 2 and the priority of the currently running process is 3. So obviously 2 is higher than 3. The priority of the P5 is higher than P1. Now the context switching is happening. Now the time is, we remove the P1 from the CPU forcefully, okay, and allocate P5 to the CPU, because the newly arrived process, the priority of the newly arrived process is higher than the currently running process. Okay, now P1 will be removed from the CPU at 5 and CPU would be allocated to the newly arrived process, that is P5. So P5 would be allocated to the CPU for how many millisecond? Till the next process has arrived at the ready state. Next process come at 6. So P5 P5 will continue its execution till 6. See, P1 is executing for how many milliseconds? 0 to 5. That means 5 milliseconds it completes its execution in CPU. 5 milliseconds, 0 to 1, 1 plus 2, 2 plus 1, 3, 4, 5. So the burst time of the P1 is 8 and P1 has done its execution in first phase for 5 milliseconds. So 8 minus 5, that is 3. So P1 required more 3 milliseconds to complete its execution. Okay. Now P1 is preempted and P5 is allocated to the CPU, and P5 is continue its execution for 6 milliseconds, and 6 milliseconds a new process is arrived, P6, and we have to check the priority of the P6 which is higher than all among the processes. So context switching is not happening, not do any context switch. Okay. Now P5 will continue its execution. P5 will not preempted. Okay. So for till the next process is P7 which is come at 10. So P5 would continue, would execute till 10. Okay. So next, the newly arrived process which is arrived at the 10 millisecond, check out the priority of that P7. The priority of the P7 is 1, which is the highest priority. So now we can remove the P5 forcefully from the CPU and allocate the CPU to the newly arrived process, as the priority of the newly arrived process is highest. So the currently running process is P5. The priority of the P5 is 2 and the newly arrived process the priority of the 1. So 1 is the highest priority than 2. So P7 now, P5 would preempted. P5 would remove from the CPU forcefully and CPU would be allocated to the newly arrived process, that is P7. Okay, which is having highest priority. Okay, P5 executed how many milliseconds? 5 to 6, that is 1, 6 to 10, that is 4, 4 plus 1, that is 5. So P5 executed for 5 milliseconds and the burst time of the P5 is 6. So 6 minus 5, that is 1. So it will require more 1 millisecond to complete its execution. Okay. Now P1 and P5 are in the waiting state, block state. Okay. So P7, so the burst time of the P7 is 1. So for how many milliseconds P7 is executing in CPU? See, after 10, is there any processes which are in ready state? No, there is no process in the ready state after 10 milliseconds. Okay, we have to allocate the P7 for the burst time of the P. The burst time of the P7 is 1. So P7 will continue its execution 10 plus 1, that is 11 milliseconds. So we reached at a point where all the processes have come in the ready state. Okay, at 10 millisecond, at the time 10, all the processes have arrived at the ready state. So at 11 milliseconds, so P7 now completed. P7 is done. Okay. So at 11 millisecond, all the processes are in ready state and we don't have to check again and again. There is we no need to check again and again the priority or arrival time of each and every process. So we just check only the priority. Out of all available process, we have to check only priority of the process, and throughout the priority, based on the priority, CPU would be allocated to that process. Okay. So now in ready state, how many processes are there? All the processes except P7. P7 has completed. So now P1, P2, P3, P4, P5 and P6 are there. Okay. Now 6 processes are there and we have to check the highest priority, which is having highest priority. At 11 millisecond, which process would allocate to the CPU? So check out priority. In priority, the highest priority is 2. I guess 2. So now CPU would be allocated to the process P5. So P5 now allocated to the CPU for how many millisecond? Check out the rest burst time, that is 1 till 12. Now P5 is done. Next priority after 2, 3 is the highest priority. Okay, so we would allocate P1 for the rest burst time, that is 3, 13, 14 and 15. So now P1 is done. Next, among P2, P3, P4, which is having highest priority? See, 4 is highest priority, but P2, P3 are having the same priority. If there is tie, then we follow the funda of FCFS, right? Because now at the point of 10, there is no processes are there in the ready state, and after 10, this algorithm is work as simply non-preemptive version. And in non-preemptive version, if there is tie, same priority, then we allocate the process based on the first come first serve CPU scheduling algorithm. Okay, so P2 is arrived at the ready state first, then P3. P2 is arrived at 1, P3 is arrived at 3. So CPU would be allocated to P2 first. So P2 would be allocated to the CPU. Check out the burst time. Burst time is 2, that is 17. So P2 is done. Next is P3. So CPU would be allocated to the process P2. Now the burst time of the P2 is 2. So it will continue its execution at 17, it will be terminated. So now P2 is done. Next is P3. The P3 having the priority same 4 and the burst time is 4. So P3 will completed at 17 plus 4, 21. So P3 is completed. Next is P4. Next priority, the next highest priority among 5 and 6. We take 5. Okay. So the priority of the P4 is 5 and the priority of the P6 is the 6, which is the highest priority. So CPU would be allocated to the P4. So P4 is completed at the check out the burst time, that is 1. So P4 is completed at 22. P4 completes its execution at 22. So final P6, which is having the highest priority among all the processes, that is P6. Allocate the P6 to the CPU, that is 22 plus 5. The burst time of the P6 is 5, that is 27. Fine. So this is the Gantt chart of the preemptive priority scheduling. Okay. So the preemptive priority scheduling is work as non-preemptive priority scheduling when all the processes are come at the ready state. So next, find out the completion time, turnaround time, waiting time and response time of this algorithm. Just first is completion time. First is completion time. So check out from right side from the Gantt chart. For P1, what is the completion time? Check out here 15. Don't take this 0 to 1, 3, 4. Check out from the right side here. At 15, P1 is completes its execution. The completion time of the P1 is 15. For P2, the completion time is 17. For P3, that is 21. For P4, completion time is 22. For P5, the completion time is 12. For P6 completion time is 27 and the P7, the completion time of the P7 is 11. Next is turnaround time. Turnaround time means completion time minus arrival time. 15 minus 0, that is 15. 17 minus 1, 16. 21 minus 3, that is 18. 22 minus 4, that is 18. 12 minus 5, 7. 27 minus 6, 21. 11 minus 10, that is 1. Next, waiting time. Waiting time means that is turnaround time minus burst time. We will take the real burst time. Okay, the turnaround time of the P1 is 15 and the burst time is 8. Okay, 15 minus 8, that is 7. 16 minus 2, that is 14. 18 minus 4, that is 14. 18 minus 1, that is 17. 7 minus 6, 1. Don't take this 1, the real burst time is 6. Okay, 27 minus 5, that is 22. 1 minus 1, that is 0. Next is response time. Response time. So check out at what time P1 is CPU would be allocated to the process at first time. For P1, that is 0 and the arrival time of the P1 is 0. So 0 minus 0, that is 0. For P2, check out for P2, at what time P2 is allocated to the CPU? At 15. Okay, and the completion time of the P1 is 15 and the allocation, the CPU allocated to the P2 at 15 and the arrival of the P2 is C, 1. So 15 minus 1, that is 14. For P3, that is 17. 17 minus 3, that is 14. For P4, 21 and arrival time of the P4 is 4. 21 minus 4, that is 17. For P5, 11. 11 and the arrival time of the P5 is 5. So the response time of the P5 is 11 minus 5, that is 6. For P6, check out at what time, at time 22 CPU is allocated to the P6 at first time. So but the arrival time of the P6 is 6. So 22 minus 6, that is 16. And final P7, that is 10 minus 10. Arrival time of the P7 is 10 and the CPU at the time of arriving it allocate to the CPU at that time. So 10 minus 10, that is 0. So, and to find out the average turnaround time, waiting time, response time, just do this sum of this turnaround time, waiting time, response time divided by the number of process, that divided by 7. Okay, I guess you can calculate that. So the average turnaround time of this algorithm is 13.7 and the average waiting time of this algorithm is 9.8 and the average response time of this algorithm is 8.7. Fine. So the main drawback of this preemptive priority scheduling is starvation problem. See, starvation. The processes which have to wait a long amount of time for the process which has currently running process which is having lower priority than that of the process which is arrived at the ready state at first time. Okay, if the currently running process, see, P1 is now currently running process, see this example Gantt chart, P1 is running, and if the process P5 which has arrived at the ready state, newly arrived process P5, is having the highest priority than that of the currently running process which is in CPU, then P1 would be preempted from the CPU to the ready state and the CPU would be allocated to the newly arrived process as per the priority. In this case, if the priority of the P5 is higher than this currently running process, if the priority the priority of the P5 is 2, that is higher than 3, okay, if next process which is which have come at the ready state and is having the highest priority than 3, let's say 0 1 2 0 1 2, next 1 2, something like this, then P1 have to wait for indefinite amount of time. That is called starvation. To solve this starvation problem, we have something that is called aging. We will discuss in the next class. So that's all about the preemptive priority scheduling. See you in the next video.